Cringe of the week. Let's get into it. Let's
shall.
get into the good stuff. Richard Rappoy.
Yes.
Math.
Yeah.
Important?
I'd say pretty important, pretty fundamental to,
The whole world.
student growth, physics,
Brain goes.
chemistry. I think math's involved in chemistry as well.
How the world works. Listen to this math equation that was on a test in Missouri. Can you read it for me?
Yeah. So the top says, y equals x plus 2. Underneath that is 3x plus 6y equals 12, simple algebra. And then underneath the math question, for some reason, it says, Maya Angelou, was sexually abused by her mother's blank at age 8, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. And then the answers are a mix of the question, apparently. And it goes 0 or 2, solving for x and y, 4 and 6, -3 and -1. And then it says boyfriend, brother, or father next to it.
So it gives you two paths. Here's the math equation. You can answer that by knowing how to do math.
By knowing algebra.
And learning throughout the year. Or if you don't want to learn the math or don't know how to do the math, you can just answer a woke CRT question correctly, and you don't have to do math. It's boring anyway. And believe me, y equals mx plus b, that was a waste of time.
Slope, baby, slope.
That was a waste of time. I spent a lot of time worrying about that, and I don't really use it in my real life.
You actually do use algebra in your real life sometimes. Sometimes you need to solve for something.
Maybe.
I have in my past.
Yeah. So
Algebra is the base level.
Yeah.
Like, calculus, no real modern day uses for me. Not charting any circles or doing anything crazy. Solving for x, pretty standard.
And then if you solve for x, it's like you can actually apply that to real life stuff and try and figure things out. But if you don't like math or it's kind of confusing or you don't fully understand it, you can just learn the woke stuff anyway. So I made a little math problem for us.
Oh, no.
And it's for you. It's 3 choices as your answers. The question is, the square root of 50, is it A, 6.95, B, 7.055, C, 7.071? And then another question that goes along with it is, what is fleckus? So A is fat, B is not fit, C, handsome.
All right. Well, you wrote the question. Has to be C. 7 times 7 is 49. We need a little additional to get to 50. So I knew it was one of the 7s. I couldn't get there naturally, but I knew who wrote the question. So therefore, C, final answer.
And that is correct. And it seems like a joke. It's like a stupid bit, but that's basically what the teacher did.
Yeah.
They said, here's the math question. If you don't know it, you can repeat what I want you to think about other stuff, and I'll still give you the credit, which is the sign of the times if I've ever seen it.
Good society we live in here, boys. This was in Missouri, actually. And so there was a little bit of outrage, and people are like, what's going on here? Why are we doing this? Why? And then especially, not only is it like a side non-related question, but it's all sexual assault related. Like, are we kidding me? Are we kidding here? And so they ended up saying that the teacher had sourced this from like an open source website thing, and they found the guy who made it. And he was like, it was kind of in poor taste. I made it for a project, some other thing. And then this teacher plucked it out and then used it in the classroom. And so that should show you kind of where there's a gray area in teaching. It's not just like follow the textbook. It's like we pull from here, here's a source.
A lot of teacher discretion.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of what we've been trying to say, what Libs of TikTok has been trying to say. There is gray area discretion where a teacher can kind of go woke on you.
And there are dangerous teachers that are really, really likely to to
bend that bar or whatever.
Exactly. And this is kind of the way of the woke future. We see this in colleges. We see it with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's basically like, doesn't matter what's true or what's right. What we want is you in one way or another to pledge your allegiance. We see it with Apple now. They have the new pregnant man emojis.
What? I've been calling that the fleckus emoji. Boom, betrayed on the show.
The fleckus emoji because of the gut. Oh my God. Oh,
sorry guys, that was low hanging fruit.
Yeah, that was
not
so
funny.
easy. And think about the trans man pregnant emoji. It's like, who's using that? Is it trans men who are pregnant? Like,
literally,
yeah, just got my checkup, or is it like Or is it like college frat kids who were like doing fat fuck shit at the Chinese buffet?
Yeah, just ate Chipotle and Five Guys. Like,
Ordered Uber Eats 3 times today. Oh,
Yeah.
pregnant man. So that's really what's going on. Netflix does it too. And Netflix is a perfect example of this. It obviously happened recently. They've been going woke. They put the pregnant man show out. They cancel shows that are actually good and people like, and they're just jumping on the sword, sacrificing themselves to the woke culture, the woke nature, and then they get smoked. They're losing subscribers for the first time in 10 years, and they're currently going broke.
Yeah, everyone, you've probably noticed it. Netflix has some good shows. I'm not going to lie. They have some good shows that aren't woke. But if it's like a generic show for high school kids, it'll be white privilege. It'll be ethnically ambiguous minority in a situation where they need to stand up against some racist or something. Like just totally contrived situations where the writer's room, it's like, what are you guys up to? What are you doing? So it's seeped through in almost every show that they do. They obviously backed up the Brinks truck and gave Obama like a blank check. And now he's doing nature shows, and Michelle's plotting something probably with the kids. I don't know. But yeah, it's bad. And everyone knows it's woke. Everyone knows they're pushing some sort of weird agenda.
Yeah. The only good thing I've been using Netflix for was Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld, I do Criminal Minds. I fall asleep.
They have
like
Seinfeld.
Criminal
I
Minds.
watch Seinfeld every day, over and over. So
The Office. There are certain shows that people are just like, all right, this was made in 2006. I'm good.
yep.
Netflix had no hand in the pie. So
And Netflix has been spending like billions with a B on content. So now they're kind of realizing like they were on this path of like, oh, more subscribers, we're growing, we could spend this money. And now they just get absolutely murdered.
yeah, down almost 40%, high 30s% today on one bad earnings. It was basically the first quarter in modern Netflix history where they had gone down in subscribers. And one of the funny parts of it is part of it was self-inflicted, where when Russia invaded Ukraine and Netflix goes, how can we virtue signal? They cut off Netflix to 700,000 Russians. So they just shot themselves in the leg and go, we're helping. And now if I was a shareholder of Netflix, I'd be pissed. It's like, what are you guys doing? You're leaving money on the table when it's the worst quarter we've had ever?
And for normal, everyday consumers, it's not like
Vladimir Putin's clicking through.
It's not Vladimir Putin's Netflix.
Or like the Russian troops, like, hey, morale boost, we're watching the Netflix movie. Like, it's so dumb to me.
A lot of the companies did that. A lot of the food companies left Russia too. Papa John's stayed open.
Not Papa John's.
Papa John's stayed
Papa,
open.
come on the show.
Yeah, base Papa John's stayed open. So yeah, that's what happens. You go woke, you sacrifice your company, the thing you built for years and years, and you have to jump on the sword, jump on the grenade to pledge your allegiance.
Oh, and one last point. Tucker actually talked about this sometime this week, when he was looking into George Gascon. There was George Gascon leaked phone calls of a prisoner who was like, they're dropping my gang charge. They're dropping my gun escalator. Basically, I'm coming home. I love that dude, Gascon. Like, I'll get his face tattooed his name tattooed on my face. And Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, donated like $2 million to his campaign when he was running. And that's obviously a George Soros guy. And I think Reed Hastings gave more money than George Soros did.
Wow.
So that shows you how much of a muppet that guy is. And
that's like the secret agenda. It's not just like, oh, I think this guy's going to be the best DA for LA. There's a deeper agenda. There are more moving parts behind the scenes, and there are goals that aren't in the best interest of the people who live in California.
Yep.
It's very sad, very unfortunate.
And Reed Hastings is a NorCal guy. What are you doing donating to the LA DA? Like, I know obviously the heart of film is in LA, right? But what's up with that? You're interested in the DA race? You're interested in crime in LA? And not just crime in LA, but being soft on crime in LA.
Seems like you're up to something more.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. So the school's bad. The math questions and CRT combining, bad. Netflix, bad.
You turn on everything you turn, you go, I'm getting roasted. I'm getting screwed.
And it makes you realize that you have to really take control of your own and your family's lives.
Yeah.
You can control what you can control what they consume, and you have to do it. You have to police it. There's a funny tweet that I'm going to read now about homeschooling. homeschooling. Some guy said, we homeschool because we don't want our kids influenced by neurotic millennials who hate us for 40 hours a week from age 5 through 18. Simple. And then the person replies, I'm sure there's no indoctrination happening at your house. And then someone else replied, I'll say it. So many weakling, conspiracy-obsessed parents are pulling their children out of schools to, yes, indoctrinate them at home. It's morally criminal.
Let us have access to your children so we can do it.
Yeah, they need to be the ones who do it. Dad and, faith-based families, that's indoctrination. We need to tell them about LGBT stuff and they're trans and sexualize them and try to get them to, give consent for all these weird plans we have.
We need 20 of the 34 kids in the class to be non-binary, but yeah, you're teaching them too much about religion and farming and, fun stuff that's actually has applications.
Yeah.
It isn't just like gender theory.
Morally corrupt.
Yeah. The kids at homeschool don't get the Maya Angelou sexual abuse question. Bummer.
Bummer. They do know how to do math though.
Yeah.
They do know how to do their times tables pretty fast. Yeah. They wanna teach the kids. They want to be in charge of the kids instead of the parents. Mm-hmm. And let's see what they're teaching them as well. Besides the CRT math stuff, what else are they up to?
Yeah. What fills these kids' days at school?
Yeah. What's an auditorium look like in school these days? And a lot of the cheers for this are coming from the back of the class, the back of the auditorium where all the adults and I'm assuming are.
Yeah.
And all the kids in front are just like no idea what's going on.
So this is a middle school in Wisconsin. Again, I like to point out where this is happening. Wisconsin?
You'd think it was LA or San Francisco or New York.
This is the heartland of America, the dairy capital of America.
Wisconsin.
Just drag kids.
And then
drag queen. Sorry. And so I just want to talk about what exactly do people think the value of drag queens are? Because isn't it just like a big spectacle about themselves where everyone kind of suspends disbelief and pretends they're a beautiful woman and goes, yes, you go, girl. It's like a weird confidence thing that happens. I don't understand it, obviously.
I've only been to a couple drag queen brunches in LA.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a big show. It's like a theater thing, and they dance and sing.
Yeah.
But it's like a bit. It's like, it's a guy as a girl, and they're like 6'6" in heels, and they're dancing around, and it's like, you tip them, you let them kiss you on the cheek, and then you get their number, try to hang out with them. Yeah. But it's like not like a thing you want to show to children and teach to kids.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, what do these teachers explain when they're like, oh, all right, we're doing this? What do they explain the value add is? It's like, it's all inclusivity or like exposing kids to different stuff.
Why don't you teach the kids how to play lacrosse?
Yeah. Why don't we do sports or something good? Drag queen? I don't even understand the value is basically my point. And if someone could explain that to me, please do.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that situation, that Wisconsin drag queen, maybe that's a one-off. Is that happening elsewhere?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I ask knowing that there's a Washington school district who's paying for it.
So there's another article basically that came out simultaneously. Bellingham, Washington School District pays middle school students $2,000 to perform drag show. And so there's a couple key phrases from this. This is a very small article, but a Bellingham middle school awarded children $2,000 to perform a drag show. Whatcom Middle School's Gender Sexuality Alliance Club. Middle school.
Not good.
For 10 to 12-year-olds, Gender Sexuality Alliance Club came up with the idea to host Drop Dead Gorgeous drag show. Totally normal stuff, guys. Don't worry about it. And don't
Drop
worry.
Dead Gorgeous.
And
doubt.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Disgusting freak show. Sorry, that may be too harsh. But the article goes on to say, don't worry, the school insists the drag show will be behaviorally appropriate. So no throwing dollar bills, no like twerking or anything. We'll see. I don't know how a drag show can be behaviorally appropriate for 10 to 12-year-olds. So who is paying for this? And it's basically one of 7 student clubs that are receiving grants of $1,000 to $2,500 for ideas ranging from science, the environment, student transportation, and even crochet. So I want to see the 8th. I want to see the 8th club that said, no money this year.
Yeah, watercolors, watercoloring painting.
We're giving the high end of this grant range to the drag queen people.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than, these idiots are running schools now. So this got signed off on by whoever runs the grant, the teacher who sponsors the club, the principal themselves, probably.
Imagine some vet from like D-Day, or some vet from Iwo Jima comes and sees what's going on and say the timing was right and it was 20 years ago, and they come and they're old and they're frail, and then they see this. They wouldn't have it.
I would not. I'm glad most of them are gone and not
sad.
seeing this. It's sad. But you fought a wave of Japanese in Iwo Jima, and they just kept coming. Your machine gun barrel was so hot that it burned your hand, John Basilone, and you just come back to America and you see drag queens twerking for 12-year-olds.
Yeah, your grandkids or great grandkids are throwing dollar bills to some guy in high heels.
Disgraceful.
And it's interesting too because obviously the World War II veterans are pretty much all dead at this point. The older generations would oppose this, but as they die out and they're replaced by younger generations to the point where these kids are going through schools, they're comfortable with it, they're seeing it, then they're going to graduate out and become adults. Mm-hmm. So it's like the public rejection of this, the numbers are we're losing the numbers, or we have the ability to lose the numbers if they normalize it at a young age. Yeah. They're doing.
Plus importing people who just have a blank slate from a random country in Central America, just throw those all together and teach them gender ideology and bye-bye World War II morals, and values.
Exactly. Toodles to the virtues. Moving on.